Welcome back, Doom fans. Lazygamer here. And let's make another GZDoom builder tutorial, shall we? Now, previously in an episode, I covered prefabs. Not very advanced, but how to create one anyway. In this video, I am going to go a bit more in depth as I demonstrate my new set of, well, prefabricated rooms and corridors and assorted. They are set around a theme, or at least the same texture set. Now, before we begin, remember that Doom is based on a grid, so textures will shift if you don't know how to use them properly. So let's start this set by choosing a room. My normal room. So now you can already see that this texture is offset. That's because adding textures doesn't really always come out properly. That means inside this room every texture is slightly offset. It's supposed to look like this, but now this texture is offset by 32, which is the length of this. However, if I try to move this now, alright, if I choose the right line depth, nothing really changed. This is because when you move it, like in line depth or sector mode, it doesn't, which is excellent normally, because you wouldn't want the textures to be offset, but right now I really want it to be set properly first. That's why this room has that inner texture, so I can see if it's offset or not before I work more with it. You might have seen that when I put it into the map, it looked like this. If I select what I want to have and press E, we can get back to that state. Inside this state, the edit selector mode, I guess. I really thought about what it's called. We can move it and get the offset right, or so I thought. Now suddenly it won't work. Why is that? Now it does. Not sure why it didn't before. Always worked for me before. Anyway, the point is, when you place a prefab that is a room especially, but everything in this prefab set is based around the 64 by 64 grid in some way. So there it is. I have a few more rooms of different sizes, and also I have an infi room set that is set so that you can move them and then stretch and fit to make every room imaginable, but you have to play around with that yourself. Why are there no textures here? Well, again, because of the 64 by 64 system, you can put different things here, therefore it's blank. I have then created corridors and such. But I would like, though you don't need to, you can put in caps or door frames or similar. But for now, let's just choose a thing that fits. For everything. Again, you can go out and check. And this is a-okay here. And here, if it was this was centered, it would be wrong for how I set it up. And this is it for this room. It's the only one I bothered to make. And with that, you could put it right on it by just pressing P. It always centers on the arrow. And with that, we have well, you'll see. This is This is 64 by 128, and it's sort of an exit to the room, also to not make this hit if you want to the other room here. Of course I would have another one of these on the other room, but I ramble. With that, could choose corridor, for instance. Let's choose straight long north-south. And see, as long as we are in edit selection mode, it will not interfere with this. If I moved in sector mode, it would make a mess of things. That looks slightly interesting, but not really. Once again, you can see that it is slightly offset. You can go in here and mess with arrow keys and set it to your liking, but it's really much easier to just move it in edit sector mode. Make sure that this is centered and everything else should be. Now, why do I have a north-south and an east-west section of corridors? Well, surely you can just rotate it, can't you? That will work just fine. Well, you can, but you know these are now horizontal instead of vertical. And you can change the textures, sure. It takes an awful long time if you want to do that all the time. It's easier to just go in and select the east-west version, like so. And if you want more of those, just press P. Try and remember to make sure it's aligned. It should fit in quite. And you can have that as a break from the monotonous blue, or you can just remove it if you don't want the lines. Just erase them. If that happens, press M, and we are back to square one, almost. And like I was saying, if you want and to fit them properly, if you have problems, just hit the corner and make sure to hit the same corner here, and we should be golden. I never bothered to put textures here unless I need to. Firstly, because if I add something else here, it would be gone anyway. Secondly, you are quite sure that this is an edge or something that's probably not going to get a texture. It's gonna look weird if you start to map right now, but it's sort of a weird mirror effect. But still, I'm gonna show a map I made in a bit. Simple usage. You can combine it with any rooms or other prefab sets if anyone's made any. I'm going to make a new set once I'm totally happy with this. What I do have is going to go have a link in the description so you can download it if you want. It's totally up to you. I am going to do some additions to this later, but this is call this the beta set. I'm going to make second floor version of every room and some staircases going up, because I want to, and that's going to be the final release. I'm just gonna put this out there so you know it's there. I will update the link once I have finished it. Here is my short map. Fairly simple, all things considered. Only based around my prefab set. There are some 3D floor use. Every tab is in the 500 range, from 500 to 520, 30, I think. Not everything's added here, so there will be some spaces in between. Something didn't work and I threw it out, but I couldn't be bothered to change the numbers. Anything else? Yeah, I like to collect them in one place so I know where they are, except for poly doors, which I like to have where they will be used. Should we have a brief look before we start, or should we just show it? Oh, let's have a look. Telepods, rooms, you can change textures. The shiny is the basic, but to have some variety, you can change it. Some placements, big room, the basics. You get to drill. Like I said, a link to the set will be in the description. And now enjoy a short playthrough of my very basic level, just to show off my design. In the meantime, this has been your host, the Lazygamer, logging off. Let's go.